Hey guys, Carl from Moose Plays. Today I'm taking a look at Civolution from designer Stefan Feld and publisher Pegasus Spiele. This is a sort of giant point salad-y, crunchy Euro with a dice placement mechanism where you're rolling a bunch of dice and then you're trying to sort of make pairs of your dice to trigger different actions based on specific sets of values of two different values of your dice. Ultimately then using those actions to play a kind of a civilization game, moving around a map, trying to place out new tribes, producing and transporting goods and resources to sell at market, to make money, to score a variety of different ways based on different sort of tracks that you're going up based on how your civilization is progressing in different types of things like technology and so on. There's a whole lot of stuff going on in here that I can't really say in an introduction, but that is that. No disclaimer needed on this one, as I did pick it up in a trade on my own, but I'm very excited to get it to the table. So with all of that said, let's head down to the table to see how this one plays solo, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. All right, so as you can already see on the screen, this game is quite a large one. So I am going to be splitting this over two cameras, but also I've already sort of gone ahead and set some things up on the tables just so that it makes sure that I'd fit it in as sort of closely to the edges of the screen as possible so I could get as close as possible to the boards, but also just to make sure that everything fit on screen. One thing I'm going to mention right now before we get into things is that there's actually a second sideboard, which is this one right here, that should go off to the other side of this board, but then it isn't going to fit on the screen. So I'm going to keep this on the second camera with my player board, and you'll see that later when we get over to that other camera. The other thing that's already set up is down here at the bottom of the screen. There are the 5 decks of research cards: Invention, Mutation, Insight, Building, and Achievement. Those have already been shuffled. You'll also see up here I have blocked off 4 spaces on this action phase tracker based on the number of players, because in the solo game I will be simulating a 2-player game, so all 4 of those spaces do get covered up. And there are more spaces that will be covered up on the other board, but I'll show you that when we get to the other camera. So to continue setting up the game, I first need to take this hexagonal phase marker, placing that up here at the top of this track. I'm going to take this weather marker, setting it to mild over here on the weather track. Next, I need to take this deck of event cards, giving those a good shuffle. And from those, since we will be playing out over a series of 4 eras, as you can see here, I am only going to be using 4 of these event cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4 event cards will get placed right here in that area, and the rest of those go back into the box. And then next I need to take these 9 scoring tiles, shuffling them up, and then I'm going to place 4 of those here, 1 in each of the 4 eras on the main board. So I've got people, I've got orange, I've got territories, and I've got purple over here like that. And I'm going to place another 3 of those out onto the other board for endgame scoring, but you'll see how that works once I get over to the other camera. Finishing up setup over here, I need to build the world map. And to do that, I'm going to take this series of tiles. There is one sort of single hex-ish shape, and then there are these other bigger ones, double ones. I'm going to give all of those a shuffle, and I'm going to put those sort of randomly out into this world on the map. So for this playthrough, this will be the world or the map that we are playing with. And then in each of these open holes there, I'm going to take these site tokens, give these a good shuffle, and I'll fill all of those with a tile face down. Just like that. Now you will see on some of these land tiles, there are markings, such as this one right here, that show a player count on them. I'm going to cover all of those with the sort of matching terrain type, because those spaces will not be used in the solo mode. That is sort of simulating, again, a 2-player experience. And then finally, to finish the map, I am going to take these different resource tiles, separating them by land type, mixing them up, and I'm going to place them out into these different locations here on the board, matching again the terrain type as printed. And the 2 that say start on them will be flipped face up for the start of the game. And like that, we are all set up with the main board for the gameplay, except that there are a couple of things I need to put on the board for our sort of player pieces. But I will come back to do that after I've set up our other player area stuff on the other screen. So coming over to the second screen, and you can see here I've got that sideboard that I mentioned before. There are 2 locations marked here, 3 and 4 players, that are covered up with those tiles. Also, this is my player board, this piece right here. You'll see that I've got these 2 extra layers up here, stage 4 and stage 5, as tiles that I've placed out there. And also, each of these different actions you'll see in just a minute as I get into gameplay. But each of these should start in the matching area with the side that has a single line face up, because you will see the other side does have a double line. So that gets slotted into there. So then continuing to set up over here, I did show you on the other board that we use some of these tokens to cover up spaces that won't be used in the 2-player game. On the other side of those are hunting tokens. So all of the remaining tiles are tokens of that type will get placed out here onto this board as hunting tokens. Over here in these 2 columns, we need to seed these white and pink dice, only filling in the empty spaces, not those marked for 3 and 4 players. So for this game, we will have 3 white dice and 3 pink dice, and these don't need to be set to any value or rolled, because these are going to be sort of available dice we have to add to our supply later in the game. And then finally, I need to place out these 100-point tiles onto the board in case we do, which is somewhat likely at least once, in case we do pass 100 on the score tracker. Then before I set up our player stuff, to finish setting up this board, I need to fill in 4 gold chips right there, drawn from this bag. So fill those in. Up here at the top, we need to fill in 3 income chips from this white bag, like that. And then finally, fill in 3 attribute chips from this yellow bag. Just like that. And now we are set up to set up our player area. First things first, I need to choose a color, and for this playthrough, I will be playing with black. So I will need to take these markers in my color, placing 1 at the bottom of each of these tracks over here. Next, filling in the board over here, I need to place out these 4 settlement pieces in each of these 4 locations here. These 3 farm pieces over here in these 3 spaces. These 2 boat pieces with resources slotted on top of them into these 2 slots right here. And I say resources, but resource markers is really what I mean. And I also need to place 4 more of those markers at the top of these 4 tracks as well. And then finally over here, to finish that up for me, I need to have 6 of these white dice and 1 of these pink dice in my supply. And I'm going to instantly begin by setting the dice to the faces of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, slotting them each into the area matching the value of that die. Just like that. There are a few more things I'm going to set up on the main board in just a minute. Also, before I start setting up the AI, I did forget, I promised that I was going to place out 3 more of these scoring chips. And those will go down here at the bottom of this board. So I'm going to pull 3 at random and place them on the matching location, flipping them over to show the opposite side. And what that's doing is it's basically changing the scoring for that particular thing at the end of the game. So you'll see we've got a double for technology track, the prestige track, and over here a double on prosperity, which will tie into final scoring. And the final remaining 2 chips will go back into the box. I should also mention that just off screen I have this nice tray that has all of my people and all of the markers that I will need to place out later on the board. And now we're going to set up the AI area. And the way they're going to start is they're going to start with this deck of AI cards. And they are numbered in the corner up here. So I'm going to place those out in a tableau, sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For this playthrough, I'll have the AI playing as red. They are also going to be placing one of their trackers onto each of these tracks, stacking those directly on top of mine like this. They'll then take their deck of sort of action cards that's going to dictate how they take their actions. I'll stick those right there. Let's do this, and I'll use that area for the discard pile. They also, off to the side of the screen, have their tray of people and markers. However, for the AI, 5 people have been removed. They also don't use any of the buildings, the settlements or farms, or the boats either. And to start, I need to put 2 each of these markers at the first 2 spaces of this track here and the first 2 spaces of this track over here. Like that. And then the finished setup over here on this screen, although there will be a little bit more setup to be done as I sort of choose my starting cards and what have you. The AI will also be starting with 6 white dice and 1 pink die, although the number of dice for the white dice doesn't really matter so much for the AI. But that is that. So we're going to head over to the main screen again. And the first things first, we each need to put out our marker on the 0 space of the score tracker, as well as down here in the favor of Agera area, starting on this first space here on the left side. Then in each of the 2 starting locations, which is this grassland over here with the tile turned up that did say start underneath it, and the forest again over here with the start space over here, we're each going to place out one of our starting tribesmen into a non-fire location. You see this has a fire on it. That scores points when we place people out on it later on during gameplay. So for right now, we are just going to stand up our meeples, 1 in each of those locations like this. And in addition, I'm going to place one of my markers standing up in each of those 2 locations that does represent 1 resource of the type of that location there. And AI is going to do the same thing, except they're not focused on resources in any means. They're laying them down on the side. And you'll see how that works later on, but that's actually going to dictate food for the AI when we get into the feeding phase at the end of each round. And like that, all of the main setup is done, except as I said, I need to figure out my starting cards and my starting resources for the game. And to do that, from these decks of cards at the bottom, I'm going to draw 2 cards from each of those. And in a minute, I'm going to be able to choose one of each of these cards as my starting cards. But in addition to that, I also need to take these starting markers cards, give those a good shuffle. And from those, I'm going to draw 3. So I'm going to end up choosing one of these and then one of each of the 5 different types of cards as my starting hand. Although the starting market cards here are not going to give me cards in hand. They're instead going to determine which types of resources and so on that I start with. So that's basically all I need to do on the main board for a minute. Let's come back over to the other screen. Decide what I'm taking from these cards. Now I haven't explained how the game works yet, so it's going to be a little bit confusing at first what all of these things are doing. But I'll do my best to sort of broadly explain what I'm thinking about as I'm looking at these. And first thing I should pay attention to are all of the different scoring possibilities this game. So looking quickly back at the main board, I know that I'm scoring for having lots of people in the first era, lots of points. Then in the second era, I'm scoring based on my knowledge track. In the third era, I'm scoring based on a number of territories I have people in. In the fourth era, I will be scoring for culture track. And then finally, at the end of the game, the bonus scoring will be the technology track, the prestige track, and prosperity. Prosperity is going to be scored by having lots of different resources and money and food and so on. But again, I'll explain how all of that works later. But just looking quickly at all of the things that I've got in front of me, orange is going to score a lot very early on, and these are very simple resources. So I am going to take that card, which means I don't take that card. Which means I am looking at brains, which unfortunately none of these have brains or intelligence. But I do see need intelligence potentially at this card and this card. This gets me lots of expressiveness. But this gets me up on the blue track and the purple track. The purple track will score me 2 points at the end of the fourth round. But language just requires lots of intelligence and doesn't require me to spend anything to make that happen. So maybe so. If I use this to get intelligence, then I can potentially build my intelligence to get this higher. And then use that intelligence with that to play this. So let's take those cards. Because if I can drive purple up, that's even greater. So those go away. Now, looking at these, this gets me more favors from the god, but it also says if at least one of my territories is adjacent to a cave, I get resources when I trigger this action. This one says I can produce raw materials in developed territories that are adjacent to territories of my own. But this is going to require lots of other stuff. 2 hands, 2 mouths. This is 2 eyeballs or 1 eyeball. I keep calling them by the body part, but dexterity and vision. But, those are both nice to have. And I'm already going to get lots of mouths from that other option. But I also see, looking ahead at these, this one starts with 1 dexterity and 1 expressiveness. But I'm not scoring a lot of points in evolution. This is for having a lot of these markers down here. So I don't want to pile up too much on those things. Well, let's see what else we have. Over here, this one gets me brown, green, and blue once up each, which those are a little bit scoring. This one's not so important. That's not the best. This gets me 2 hearts. But that's even less interesting. But what does it say here? You may ignore the effects at the very top and the very bottom of the weather gauge. That's impressive, or at least protects me from weather, but it's going to require lots of stuff to get done. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of that one and keep this one. Which means, yeah, let's focus on dexterity and expressiveness for right now. Night vision goes away. But 2 eyes is easier than all of that. But it's just 2 hands if I put it in the first level. I'll explain what that means shortly. Yeah, let's get rid of night vision. And all of those cards will go onto the bottom of the deck that they came from. And now I need to start with my starting markers. Now, all 4 of these cards do have the same stuff at the bottom of them. I'm going to get 1 food, I'm going to get 1 focus, I'm going to get 2 money, and I'm going to get 2 ideas, regardless of which card I choose. The rest of the stuff is simply going to fill out the other things that I need here. None of them have intelligence, which is a shame because that requires 3 intelligence. And I don't know that I'm ever going to get there. But we'll see. Hold on, what was the purple card I didn't take? Yeah, no, we'll work on getting things done. So I'm going to look at these. I do see that one of the potential gold chips that's coming up is to composure, and I do see composure here and composure here, although I do definitely want to make sure I have dexterity because I need 2 of them for that card. So that gets me salt and stone. This gets me jade and what's that? Coal, none of which I need for any of my starting cards, unfortunately, so that's not super helpful. So either dexterity and expressiveness or dexterity and composure. Right now that doesn't matter too much so long as I have that. Although I could get both of those if I had this. Yeah, let's just do that because the other 2 go away. And that means now that I get 1 marker in stone, 1 marker in salt, 1 marker in dexterity, 1 marker in expressiveness, then 1 food, 1 focus, 2 money, and 2 ideas, like that. And that card goes away. And these cards will now go into my hand, which I'll place down here. I'll spread those out in just a second, but first I want to do the last piece of setup, which are these starting chips cards. And what these mean is that I need to give myself some kind of special income and some kind of special upgrade that will give me some unique ability or unique capability to get different things done at the start of the game. And the way this is going to work, I'm playing with the advanced rules. Everything you've seen so far is the advanced setup, meaning I get to draft these cards. There is another way that in the sort of basic mode that it gives you a set starting hand. But with this sort of advanced setup, we're going to give these a shuffle. And what I'm going to do is turn over 3 of those. And then on each of those from the bag of gold chips, I'm going to draw 1 goal and put 1 on each of these cards. And then I get to draft 1 of these 3 cards. And what this is going to do is, it's going to give me some kind of starting income. It's going to give me 1 of my actions upgraded, and it's going to give me a starting goal that I'm trying to achieve. So this one says, when I get income, I'm going to roll my pink dice. And if I get right now a value of 1, exactly 1, I will be able to score 1 of my goals. And you'll see that value of 1 is something I'm going to be able to upgrade on that Favor of Agera track that I showed you on the main board, but we'll talk more about that later on. It would also mean that I get to upgrade my invention action, which is how I'm going to place out brown cards or use income. This one gives me 1 additional idea every time I get income, which is pretty powerful, and would let me upgrade my activity chip, which is how I trigger any of these actions with this sort of blue circle with a finger on it. And this one here, income, allows me to roll to move people on the board, which could be really helpful because we are scoring in the 3rd era based on the number of territories I am spread out in. It upgrades my transport action, which is how I get my resources from the board into my personal supply. And now looking at the goals, this says I need to get 3 people in a single forest. Here, a person and a house or farm in a desert. And here I need to spend 1 salt. Well, I'm starting with 1 salt. Of those 3 actions, I think transport is the most interesting to me because I know I'm spreading out territories and I know I'm trying to score lots of people in the first round. And I can do that already. So let's take this card. These go away back into the bag. These go away as well. And then what that means is this gold chip goes into here. This is going to get tucked down into here so I can see that income. And while I'm doing that, I might as well sort of explain how 1 additional endgame scoring is going to work for me, and that's based on the stuff that I'm slotting in here. Every time I play a card, I'm going to be slotting those cards into different locations on this board. And the way that I do that is, each of these windows represents 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, means level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And depending on which level I'm slotting into, I have to spend the resources in all of those locations. So if I want to slot this into level 1, I need to spend 1 of those. A papyrus, and if I want to slot it into level 2, I need to spend papyrus and wood. Or you'll see down here for this particular card, if I've already built 3 settlements, I can place into level 1, and if I've already built 2 settlements, I can place into level 2. Which means, let me explain that a little bit more carefully. If I'd only built 2, I'd have to spend a papyrus and then not have to pay this. But if I've built 3, that covers both of these and I could build it for free. Now these are empty, means I could easily place this into any of those levels by only paying for those 2 things. But once I've slotted anything into a specific column, I can only then put other things of that same type. So if I put a blue card into this space, I would then only be able to put blue cards in the rest of that column. The only thing that can break that rule is any of these income chips. They can be placed into a column with anything else. Otherwise, everything will get slotted in, including goals. When I score a goal, it will flip over and fill into a spot. Now, I can place 2 of those in a single level. But then once I do that, only goals can go into those columns as well. As far as these symbols go, this just means I need to have 3 of this type of sort of characteristic. But this means I actually have to lose 1 of those type. But also when I trigger here, I would score 2 points. Anytime you see this number with a sort of yellow semicircle, that means scoring points. When you slot these cards in, if there's a lightning bolt, it's going to trigger right away as it's put in. But then you'll see some of these cards will also have abilities that are ongoing as they are slotted into your tableau. But having explained that, let's now explain how the game works. And I will do my best to explain the game as I'm playing, but also I'm going to sort of do it step by step as I play through the first round, because there are a ton of different phases in each round. And I think that if I sort of do each phase as I explain it, it will hopefully make a little bit more sense about what it is that I'm doing. Although when we get to the action phase, I might skip ahead to explain a little bit about what I need to think about as I'm taking my actions. Although the last thing I do need to do is determine who the start player will be. I'm going to let the AI go first this time, simply so that you can see the AI's action as sort of part of my explanation. I'll lay that there so we can see that they have the first player marker. And like that, we are all set up for a game of Civolution. So coming back to the main board, because the main board very, very nicely explains all of the things we're going to be doing in any given round. So I'm going to run you through these different steps and explain what each of them is and how it works, starting with step 1, new cards. It says reveal the top card from the face down event stack and from each of the face down research stacks and place them into their face up stack. So first things first, we take a look at our first event. And events are going to show me several things. First, it's going to say what happens to the weather at the end of the round. In this case, it says it's going to get 2 spots colder. So this is going to move down 2 spots, which means at the end of this round, we will be cold. And when we're cold, we will lose 1 food. And if we can't lose 1 food, we will lose 1 tribe. So I need to think about that as I'm doing things this round. But then also it says each civilization that has at least 2 vision gains 1 favor of Agera or 1 income. Problem is, I didn't take the card that gave me the eyes, so I don't think that's going to work for me. I should also point out the AI will never take advantage of anything having to do with the weather or that event. But that is that. Then we turn over each of these cards, which I'm not going to explain right now. I'll explain them as we get into gameplay, because then it will make a little bit more sense about what all of them do. But placing those out one by one like that. Then we slide this to the next step, which says new goals. So each civilization may gain 1 goal from the display, refill the goal chip display afterwards. And we are going to go in order of first player. So he goes first, rolling 1 of their dice for the AI. And they're going to get a 6, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 means they don't take any goals. So that's fine. They'll never score any goals. They're simply removing them, so I can't take them. And I did start with dexterity and expressiveness, so this composure is no longer all that important to me. But I do see, I know that I start with 1 tribe in grasslands. I know that I want more tribes this turn so that we can score lots of points at the end of this round. And I can also see, coming back to the main board for just a second, there is a grassland adjacent to the starting grassland. So if I get some more people and I transfer or explore into this grassland, then I can have multiple people in grasslands, although the problem becomes I need 3 in a single grassland. Let me double check that. Yes. 3 in a single grassland, although no, swamps are not that great for me right now. There is a swamp right next to me though. So a swamp and a house, actually that might be easier, a house and a tribe in the swamp. Because I can create more tribes, move to the swamp, and build a house. Yeah, let's take that one, actually. So I take that. Now, at the end of this, we do refill those. So drawing 1 more new one. Spending 3 money is a goal. All right, back at the main board, extra fine. Each civilization chooses 1 type of territory in which it has at least 1 tribe. Then it chooses 1 of the 3 types of material that can appear there and gains 1 of them. So right now I'm in the grasslands and the forests. So looking at my player board, in the grassland I can have papyrus, herbs, or gold. In the forest I can have wood, wax, or oil. And I know that I need papyrus to do this, which is going to work towards getting me this card. I know that I need to have oil to do this, which is just pushing me up on 3 tracks, none of which are scoring right now. So I'm going to focus on gaining 1 papyrus. So I'll take a marker and place that in the papyrus box right there, like that. AI does nothing during this phase. And now we move into the action phase, during which the AI and myself are going to take turns taking actions. The AI's actions will always be dictated by their cards, whereas my actions will be taken by these dice. And I'm doing that to fulfill a bunch of different things that will ultimately be scoring on the goals that we're trying to score. Means these goals over here, but also scoring. So again, looking at the main board just quickly, I'm scoring in the first era based on the number of tribes I have out on the map. The end of the second era based on the value or the location of my knowledge tracker. The end of the third era based on the number of territories I am in. I don't have to be controlling, I just have to have people there. And the end of the fourth era, my location on the culture track. And then finally, at the end of the game, I'll score everything, but technology and prestige are double points as well as prosperity. But let me explain what these are very quickly. Evolution, again, is the number of markers in these spaces at the bottom. Prosperity is the number of these diamonds that you see printed on the board. So any full column I have in food, any full column I have in money will score based on one, or will give me 1 diamond's worth of scoring, in this case 2 points. And then in the resources, if I have at least 1 marker in each of the 2 boxes on either side of diamonds printed on the board, I will score those diamonds. So if I had at least 1 salt and at least 1 copper, I would score 2 diamonds, meaning 4 points in this case. Again, population is based on the number of tribes on the map, and expansion is based on the number of territories that I am in on the map. I'll also score based on the cards and chips that I have slotted in here. I should point out while I'm talking again, I only score these top rows. I should flip those over. Sorry, they are inactive. I need to activate these by either building all of my settlements or by filling in this complete second row on my board. And if I do that, those will flip over. This row will score 7 points per thing, and the top row will score 10 points per thing if I manage to unlock it. I also have to keep in mind as I'm taking actions that every person that I have or every tribe that I have out on the board will need 1 food to feed them, or a house, because if I build a house in a territory, all of my tribes in that territory are automatically fed. If they're not fed, they get weakened. Weakened tribes don't count as for scoring because we will score all our tribes on the board each round, even if it's not the scoring goal of that round. I also need to pay attention to the weather. We saw I am going to lose a food, and if I can't, I will lose a tribesman because it will be cold at the end of this round. Then finally, we're going to trigger income at the end of the round. We will score any statues, which I'll explain in just a minute, but that's a building type that I can build out on the board. And then we will sort of reset for the next round. So taking a look at actions, let me explain mine first, and then I'm just going to run the AI to show you how the AI works, because everything the AI needs is written on all of these cards. But basically, my actions are going to work like this. Here you see a variety of actions that I can take on my turn, and each of these locations requires, let me show you one up close, 2 values of dice in order to trigger. So if I play a 5 and a 6, I can take this action and do either of the 2 things printed on that tile. And it's worth mentioning that when I play dice, I can use these ideas one at a time to increase or decrease the value of a die by 1. And the dice do wrap, so a 6 can become a 1 and a 1 can become a 6 by spending 1 idea. Also, instead of playing a die, I can play one of my focus tokens up here. This focus token can act as any 1 die of any value towards the activation of one of these actions. And you'll see this is sort of set up like a grid. It may not be obvious at first glance, but each row has 1 value matching that row. So these are all 6s plus something. These are all 5s and something, 4 and something, 3 and something, 2 and something, and this can be any 2 dice. And then also you'll see that that row turns the corner because that will then be the value of that die as the second die. So here is 4 and 3 because that came from 3. Whereas 2 goes like this. So these all require 2s, these all require 3s, these all require 4s, and these all require 5s, and so on. You'll also see in order to place out markers in each of these different spots at the bottom, the features that we can evolve, I need to play 2 dice of the same value. So these are 2 6s, 2 5s, 2 4s, 2 3s, 2 2s, and 2 1s. So very, very quickly running through the different actions, all of the actions in column 6 will allow me to play cards of a single color. So this is purple cards, blue cards, orange cards, green cards, and brown cards. Or this one will allow me to take 1 additional white die or pink die. And I should mention that white dice, again, are what I'm using to take actions, but the pink dice are what I'm using to potentially get bonuses when they have this purple face on them. This one will allow me to build 1 building. So I've got basically 4 different types of buildings, although one of them is a boat, so it's not really a building, but we've got settlements over here. And to build a settlement, I need to spend whatever resources it shows. And when I build a settlement, I get to take 1 additional income chip. And when I've built all 4 settlements, I will flip over the first of these tiles. And you'll also see that under each settlement are some of the diamonds, which do score for the prosperity scoring at the end of the game. Farms cost nothing to build. When I place one out, I will get 1 new idea. And again, I mentioned those, you can only have 1 in each territory on the board, but when I build a farm, every one of my tribesmen in that location will automatically be fed at the end of the round. Now, I should mention, the farms get built in territories. The settlements and the statues, which I might as well talk about right now, must be built on building grounds. So coming into the board right now, I only have a building ground right here. Any other building grounds are hidden somewhere under some of these locations. And in order to build in this building ground, I need to place a boat into that water to even reach that location. So again, I've already talked about settlements, but while I'm here, statues, in order to build a statue, I need to pay whatever the resource shows on that particular building ground, 1 of any of those things, and I place a statue there. And you can see here as printed, I can only ever have 2 statues or 1 settlement and 1 statue on a single building ground. And when I place a statue, I get to move up on any one of these 5 tracks. And statues will score points at the end of the game equal to where your marker is on this track down here. And this is also what's going to dictate those extra sort of bonuses I keep mentioning that I'm rolling the pink dice on. I'm rolling all of the pink dice I have, and I need to match the value of the level where I am in order to trigger that bonus. So the further this goes, the better likelihood I have of triggering that bonus. And here you see 1 to 6, so that's an automatic trigger. Next, continuing down here, this gets me 3 ideas. This will let me move markers between different types of features. And this one will allow me to trigger 1 of my income tiles or my starting card. In the purple row, we're looking at sale and purchase. Sale and purchase allows me to sell 1 resource and purchase 1 resource based on this over here. So when I'm selling, I can either sell to get 1, 2, or 3 gold based on what I'm selling, or I can sell to score 2 points for each thing I sell. When I'm buying, I can spend 4 money to take anything I want to, but it's only 2 money if that tile has already been revealed on the board or on the map. Production says I'm going to place out 2 markers at locations on the map where I have people, showing that those people have produced whatever the resource of that particular territory is. And then I'm going to roll my pink dice, and if I'm successful, I will transport 1 of those into my supply. And that transport action is here. Here is how I actually do transport. I get to move 3 of my resource markers from the map into my supply when I take that action. But currently I only have the 2 starting resources in the starting locations. Procreation simply allows me to add 1 additional worker out onto the map. In a territory where I already have a person, placing them into an empty location there. If there is no empty location, they will kick 1 of the opponent's workers into the sort of wildlands of the territories. It means they're still in that territory, but they're not on a space. And anybody in a wilderness requires 1 additional food to feed. So if there is a farm there, they still have to spend 1 food in addition to having the farm. Moving over to this column, the 3-4 lets me score 1 of my goals, doing whatever it shows there, turning that over and placing it out. And when I do that, I get to upgrade any one of my actions for having done so. Or I can take 2 planning tokens. And what that means is I will take markers and place them directly on any location on this board. But both of them do have to go on the same die space. And what that means is that marker then becomes a die of that value for taking actions later on. 2-4 will allow me to go hunting. Hunting means I will place 1 of these hunting tokens out at a location where I have a tribe on the board. I will roll a pink die. And then based on the type of terrain and the value of my pink die, it will dictate how much food I receive for taking that action. And once a location or a territory has been hunted for that round, you cannot hunt there again, which is why I'm placing out those tokens. The other option is bringing 1 of my weakened workers or weakened tribes back to full strength again. 1 and 4 lets me explore, or lets me, well, I guess in either case I explore, but exploration could mean one of two things. So looking at the board, the first thing it could mean is I'm going to select the territory where I have a person, and I will turn over all of these exploration tiles adjacent to the territory where I am activating. And each of these is going to have some kind of special location, which I will explain as they come out, but they will also have a point score on them that I will instantly score as I take that action. The other half of that exploration action is, I'm going to make a lucky find. So I choose one of the territories, I roll a die, a pink die, and looking at this here, I would look in the column of the territory that I'm rolling on. Based on the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I would get one of whatever that thing is. Over here, 2, 3 gets me a trigger that activates one of the things that I have in my tableau that has that symbol on it. In this case, spending 1 gold or money to move up on any one progress track. 1 and 3 is migration. It simply means I'm choosing one of my tribes and moving them from one location into an adjacent location. But when I do that, for example, if I move from here into this grassland, I would score points on the fire location if I can place my worker there or my tribe there. And then I'm going to flip over whatever the resource is there, placing 1 marker of my own in that location to show that I've produced one of a resource of that type. Research 1 and 2 allows me to draw one of any of the research cards out on the table, either one of the face up ones or face down, or I can draw 2 face down cards, one from 2 different decks or 2 from the same deck, and keep one of those. And finally, sleep. Any 2 values will allow me to take 1 focus or 2 ideas. And that's my actions. I know that's a little bit confusing, and also I forgot I should have upgraded my transport. So now instead of bringing back 3 resources, I'm actually going to bring back 6 resources. So if I can get a bunch of resources going, that might be good, although I don't know that's going to help me so much in this play, but we'll see. I've got sort of a bit of a random mix of stuff happening right now, and I'm going to have to see how this starts driving me, but we'll see how that works in a minute. Then I should point out, on my turn, if I don't have dice that I can use for an action, or if I decide I don't like any of those things, I'm going to take a rest action instead. And what that means is I'm going to slide one of these down. That's going to advance the tracker on the action phase track on the main board, which is going to drive the timer of the round. Then I will re-roll all of the white dice that I've used, plus any that I don't like in my tableau or on my board. And then I can turn that either into a food or into a new idea. But let's go ahead and take the AI's turn because they are the starting player, and it's easiest to show how they play by turning over their card. So they're just going to turn over a card, and they're going to see a couple of things. First, I'm looking down here, there are blue and red markers. I'm going to be laying these cards out in a row overlapping, and if there are ever 4 blue and 4 red, or more than 4 blue and 4 red, the AI will take a rest action instead of taking the action printed on the card. So I'm going to be able to sort of get some idea about when the AI might be taking a rest action. But looking at that card, there are blue sides and red sides. That's going to be determined by the difficulty which side I'm using. In the sort of beginner level game, which is what I'm going to be playing today, I'm only going to be using the blue sides. But for example, in the next level up to sort of normal difficulty level, for the first 3 errors, they would use blue, and in the final error, they would use red. But in any case, what they're going to do for these kinds of cards is roll a die. So rolling 1 die, I got a 5. Which means, with a 5, they are going up on the green track 1, and that is their turn. Then from me, I'm looking to do a couple of things. I want to boost brains. I want to build this card. I want to make more people and move the people into swamps and build a house to score that. But ultimately, more people is a good thing because I'm scoring 5 points per tribe at the end of this round. But I need to make sure I can feed them all too, which is a little bit concerning. But why not? We're going to start with 5, 2. I think blue here is 6, 4, so that's great. 5, 2, which is procreation, so I'm going to take 1 more of my tribes people, bring them out here, and I will place them here on this +1, scoring 1 point. Like that. Back to the AI, flipping over a card. See, they line up here. Now they've got 2 red and 2 blue, so they are taking an action. This one says, I'm going to look at the next era scoring category and double it, or do whatever that thing is twice. So the next era means era 2, which on the board is this orange one right here. So coming back over here, they're doing that twice, 1, 2. Now for me, anytime I cross one of these lines, I will do whatever it shows here. But for the AI, they only care about the ones that give them points. So that is all they're going to do. My turn. And I'd like to migrate. Yeah, let's do it right away. 3, 1 is migration. I'm moving one of those new guys over here, scoring 2 points for getting there. 1, 2. And then I flip this one over, which shows me it is what? Tar. And I will place one of my markers out there as tar. AI's turn. Flipping over. They're at 3 blue and 3 red, so they're still going. Rolling a die. 2. So it says they're placing a statue out onto a space. And they always place out onto that island in that large water territory that I showed before. So coming back to the main board, that simply means they place a statue right there in the center of that island. That's their turn. And now I am going to use that 6 and 4. Because 6, 4 lets me build a blue card, which is exactly what I want to do with this. If I play it on level 1, I only need to spend 1 papyrus, which I've got. Yay. And I'll slot that into this first level, which means I get 2 knowledge, 1, 2, and I'm going to get that in just a second, but I also get 1 intelligence on my board, like that, slotting that into there. So we've built a school. And now, because I crossed on the orange track, I get to upgrade anything that is orange. So any of these ones here, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, like that. Migration, activity, planning, production, or insight. I've already got an upgraded transport. If I upgrade production, I can transport a bunch of stuff back, potentially. What happens if I upgrade insight? I get 6 ideas. Could be nice. This lets me produce 3 and automatically bring 1 back. Could be great. Planning doesn't change the goal, but I get 3 plans instead of 2. Activity will let me score or activate 2 different of those, but right now I only have 1 anyway. And migration allows me to move 1 and potentially move a second based on a roll, but my rolls are pretty bad right now. So yeah, let's upgrade production. And that's my turn. AI is going to turn a card over, and now that's 1, 2, 3, 4 blue and 1, 2, 3, 4 red. So they're resting. These cards go away, and it says to discard them face down in the rulebook. Then, when we rest for the AI, simply slide this over to the next spot. And that's it for them. They don't do anything else for their rest phase. For me, I'm out of dice, so I am also resting. So again, we're going to slide that down to A. One more time advancing that action phase tracker. And then this slides to B, which says re-roll all of my white dice. And they get placed wherever they are valued. Like that. And finally, this comes off as either food or ideas. I still have 2 ideas left. And it's early enough in the game that food might be helpful because I don't have a lot of farms or anything else built out. So that is my turn. Back to the AI. Flipping. A 4 moves them up on the brown track. Like that. Good. And I need more people. So I am going to use a 6 as a 5 using one of my ideas. Plus 1. Plus 2. 5 and 2 is procreation. So placing one more of my guys out, because I know they're scoring a lot of points, into the swamps, because I'm about to build a farm there, which means they'll both be fed anyway. And that's me. AI flips. Still 2 and 3. Rolling a die. 4. Placing out another statue, and then they're going to go hunting. So first things first, placing out this statue, and while I'm over here, AI is in grasslands and forests, and they're always going to place in a location when they're hunting that is the best hunting territory and where they have and I have at least 1 tribe. So right now, grasslands or forests, and looking over here at this board, grasslands are a little bit less good than forest because forest does have this 3 where there's a 2. So they are going to go hunting in the forests, which simply means that I can't. But now it is my turn again. And with a 6 and a 3 plus an idea, making that a 4, I am going to build. So I'm going to build one of my farms, which instantly gives me one of those ideas back again. And that farm is going to get placed out into this swamp right here so that these two guys are fed. Yay. But I need to make sure I have one additional food this round because it is going to be cold at the end of this season. AI goes next. Flips this card over. 3 and 4, they're still going. 4th era scoring category, which is the purple culture track, moving up just once like that. Me. 3-1 is migration. I don't know that I want to migrate, but I could do. Is there any reason I need to be in grasslands? Only if I want to make this papyrus. Otherwise, no. Otherwise, no. Yeah, no. Okay, so I am going to do that. 3-1 is migration, and let me show you why. Over here on the main board, I want to stay in the forest because I want to be able to get that oil next time to get that brown card made. So I'm going to move this guy over here to score 2 points. I get to reveal that, which is some copper. 1, 2. And the reason I'm coming here too is because this territory has 3 locations that I can explore in a single action, which is great. And I also got to score those 2 points, which is great. And I do need to put out one of my markers to show that there is some copper there for me to get later on. Back to the AI, they flip a card, which does put them over 4 for both colors, so that's done. Advancing that rest track, but I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing because I'm all out of stuff. Advancing 1 more. Then from me, I re-roll all my dice. That's not mine. 3, 2, 4, 4, 2, 6. Now, putting this as food is giving me less options for ideas, but I do need the extra food this round, so I'm going to put that there. AI takes a turn. Rolling dice. 5. 5 says go up on blue. Yay. My turn. What do I need? I need more brains. Ooh, that's right there is going to give me some more brains. What else do I want to do? I want to score a goal. Because now I do have a person and a barn in a swamp. I also have salt to score a second goal, but it's not going to happen right now. Yeah, let's do it. 4 and 3 is a goal. I will score the one that I don't have to spend for. So I do have a guy and a barn in the swamps. So that flips over. I'll slot that in somewhere. And if I put it down low, I can put more stuff on it. But I don't know how many goals I'm going to score, so I'm going to slot it here because that'll be automatic 3 points. And sometimes it's harder to get cards at higher levels, and these are automatically placed at any level that they fit into. And that also means I get to upgrade something. And I think I might do migration because later on in the game, I know that I'm scoring on territories, so I want to spread as much as possible because I'll score 3 points per territory at the end of 3, and then I'll score an additional 2 points per territory at the end of the game. So yeah, I think I like that. All right, AI goes next. Ooh, 3 and 3, they're already close to resting, but not quite yet. 6 gets them up on the orange track like that. Me, yeah, I'm getting a brain. I need intelligence to start working on this card. Like that, I need 1 more, but that's fine for now. They flip over and boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. They are resting. So coming back to the main track, that means we are done the action phase. But it says here, the next time the starting civilization takes a turn is the last action round. So I'm going to get 1 more turn, then they will get a turn and I will get a turn. Means we finish this round and have 1 final round before the end of this. Sorry, finish this turn and have 1 final turn before we finish the end of this phase or this round. So for me, I've got this 6 and this 4, which means I could build something. I don't really want to put out another barn right now because I don't know where I'm going to end up. I don't have any blue cards to play. I could play 4 and anything. Ah, I can wrap that to a 1. Let's do that. I play an idea, playing 4 and 6 as 4 and 1, and I'll explore. So I'm going to explore this desert territory up here because there are 3 locations to explore, and I'll turn over each of those. First one I have is Mystic Oak, which is beautiful. It scores me 1 point now, but at the end of every round during the site phase right here, I'm going to score 2 points for every desert, swamp, or water territory that I'm in adjacent to this, which right now is right here, which is yay. Or 1 point for every forest, grassland, what's that? Hills and mountains that I have, which could mean if I put somebody back into this grassland, no, that's only adjacent to here, so that's fine. But that gets me 1 point. Flipping over this next one, we've got a volcano. That would be horrible, except my farm is here and not there, so yay, nothing happens, and I score 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me just double check that volcano. It wouldn't destroy it. Well, it would destroy it, but it also says there can never be farms. But the good news is that's only adjacent to this desert, so that desert will never have a farm. I might move out of there soon anyway, so that is that. And then finally flipping over this third one here, whoops, is a building ground. Yay, which is great because now I can build settlements or statues at that location from either, well, all 3 of these, but I've got 2 people in those 2 territories, but that gets me 1 point as well, like that. Yeah, good. That was a nice turn. AI takes their final turn of the round. This era's scoring category is people. So when it says, when they build a person or when they procreate, they will place their tribe in a territory where there's at least 1 free encampment. And then it says, if they filled in all of their encampments, they will then automatically take a free migration action. But there isn't right now. The problem is, they can place in this location or they can place in this location. So they're going to use this priority tracker over here. And I'm going to roll a die. And then from that die, if it's not grassland or forest, I will continue moving around that circle until I get to one of those 2 types. So rolling that, I get a 5, which is hills, then desert, then forest. So they're placing out into a forest, scoring the 1 point for having placed there. And they will always prioritize that scoring location. But there is still space here, so they're not taking any migration action. That's the end of their turn and the end of their turns for this phase. I get 1 more thing. But I have no more dice, so I am resting. I don't slide that because it's already slid to the end, but I will roll all my dice. Like that. And then I can choose food or idea. Now, I know that I have 2 guys in the swamp that are fed with the farm. Got 1 guy in the desert and 1 guy in the forest that are not fed, so I need 2 food. Plus the cold is going to steal 1 of my food. So I have enough food. So I need ideas, or I would like to have ideas for future rounds. I'm also excited about this because I will be giving my 3rd brain, but that is the end of the action phase. So coming back to the main board, we slide into the site phase. Now we're checking for gorges, glaciers, and mystic oaks. There is a mystic oak here. It is adjacent to this territory where I am. Means I score 2 points. Yay. I don't ever want to leave there. Although I can never have a farm there, so I have to make sure I have a food for him every round. Then we move into the feeding phase. Now, in the feeding phase for the AI, it says, first I'm going to place out 1 more of their sideways markers like I placed at the start of the round. And it says I'm going to place that in a location with the fewest of those and most of Vici's tribes, Vici being the AI. So that is this location right here. And once they've got 2 of those on that location, which they do currently, they will fill in that spot, meaning that I can never place a farm there. It also means that all of their pieces in that location are already fed. Also, anywhere that has a single one will feed a single tribe. So he's fed and they are fed, and that is that for Vici. Then for me, I have a farm here. They don't need to be fed. I need these 2 guys to have some food. So discarding 2 food from my board, they are safe. And now we move into scoring strong tribes. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And at this point, we're scoring 1 each. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Red has 1, 2, 3. So they go up to 4 points like that. Then we slide to the event phase. First is weather. This goes down twice, and I will need to get rid of that last food that I have. Then it says each civilization that has at least 2 vision I don't have any, so that's not going to do anything for me. That's nothing. Then we're scoring the era's category, which is tribes. I have 4 of them, which is 4 times 5 is 20 points, 27, 37. And he's got 3 times 5 is 15, so he goes to 9, and 10 is 19. And because I scored more than they did on that category, which will now go away, I get the first player marker for the next round. Then income phase, coming back to my player board. The only one I have is this. I only have 1 of these dice, and I'm still in the first spot on the favorite track, so I need to roll a 1 in order to move somebody. I don't know that I want to move somebody anyway, so let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. It's a cracked die, but that is a 1, so I do get to move someone. So looking at the main board, he's already taken over this forest. But I want to be in the forests. I did want to be in the forest in order to get that resource I needed. But I can sort of go to a different forest space. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm moving here because it does get me 2 points. And the other reason is, again, because this desert touches 3 of those spots, which will be nice when I do an exploration later. This flips over and I do get 1 sand resource produced. I'm going to need to take a nice transport action this time and get all that stuff in because I do transport 6, which is great. That's that. Now we score statues. I don't score statues. The AI is still here. They score 1 point per statue. They have 2 statues, 1, 2, like that. Remove all the hunting tokens from the board, and then back on my player board, I put markers back in each of those rest track spots. 1, 2, 3. That hunting token goes back. And that is the end of the first round, sliding that back up, or I keep calling them rounds, but era. Remembering in the second era, we are scoring on the knowledge track. I'm at level 2, he's at level 3 currently. So let's see what happens. All right, so drawing new cards for each of these guys. And I know I should pay attention to some of this stuff. I haven't really been doing so far. Ooh, this is nice. Hand and, no, I don't have the composure. But I do have the hand. This one too lets me do transport, lets me upgrade my production. It's already level 2, that would be level 3, that would be big. All right. This one I could do level 1 for free. Whenever you do a reset and your roll doesn't have a 5, I get to produce a good 3 mouths. Yeah, this one is great too. All right, well, we'll think about that. But anyway, we need to see what our next event is. Yay, it's getting warmer, thankfully. But it will be rainy, which means I'm going to activate one of those action spots or activity spots. But the event says the civilization with the most statues gets 1 income chip. That's a problem because it only applies if the civilization has sole majority. It means I'd have to place out 3 of those statues, and that can't happen right now because I can only build 2 there, and I can't get to that unless I have a boat. And I don't think I'm gonna focus on that. Orange is our friend. Anyway, moving up here, new goals. Going back to the goals section. We've got 3 grassland, 2 composure, minus a cotton, or minus 3 money. Money could happen actually. If I start transporting lots of goods and take sale actions, I could start getting a bunch of money. Potentially. Cotton is less likely to happen because I'm not in brown and I don't expect that I'm going into brown soonish. Maybe. I could get real lucky with the next brown spot. Maybe. We'll see what happens. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. I'm going to take the cotton and hope for good luck. AI rolls is a 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. They take that one out of the game. We refill those 2 spots. I've got 2 on a glacier, which is one of the spaces in between the territories, or level 3 technology. All right. That's that. Extra fine means I get to take 1 thing from a location where I am. Well, I wanted to get that oil from a forest, but I'm not in a forest anymore, and none of my other cards need anything. So I get to take something for free from a swamp, a desert. Yeah, just a swamp or a desert. So stone, iron, or jade, sand, salt, or copper. Looking at the cards in the display, none of those need anything either. So let's go big. And I will take, doesn't matter because I'm not abandoning either of those locations anytime soon. Yeah, then let's go copper. Because at least that way, if I keep those there, I'm not gonna, because I'm gonna use the salt later probably, but I would get 2 diamonds for that. Okay, and in the action phase, and I'm going first. And it might be a silly start, but I'm doing that to get my 3rd intelligence so that I can learn language or develop language at some point before too long. 6-5, which I could do with an idea on my next turn. We'll see what happens. AI draws their card. Still just 1 blue, 1 red. Each of the 3 scoring categories with scoring tiles in the final scoring area. That means over here. So they go up once on brown for that, once on green for that. And then diamonds means they're simply going to take one of their markers and place out the next spot on the diamond track, like that. And my turn. Don't know. Do I want this purple card already? Maybe so. What else can I do? 6-4 is building. I don't want to do that until I've migrated. 4 and 1 is an exploration. Yeah, let's start there just to see what happens. 4 and 1 I'm exploring. I'm over here in this desert, gets me these 3. So I've got, another building ground for 1 point. I've got a cave, that's cool. So a cave, if I find any other caves, will allow me to move from cave to cave when migrating, but that is 3 points. Nothing negative, please. We got another building ground, 1. All right, now I'm starting to wonder if I should have paid attention to those. I did anyway. That's a copper. And that's one of the yellow-green guys, which I started with. If I get that, I could put a 2nd statue there. And over here, I need a stone or... I've got a stone. I could build 3 statues this round. I don't know if it's worth it, but it would mean that I get this. And it would mean that I move up 3 times on anything of my choice, which could be oranges. Wow. Okay. Okay. Things just changed quite a bit with that flip. That's pretty awesome. Okay, then AI takes their turn. 2 blue and a red. This era scoring category twice, which is orange. They go up 2 times like that. All right, well, change of plans. 6 and 4 means I'm building a statue. And we'll start with the stone statue just because it's cheapest. So coming back to the board, this one can take a stone. So I will place that there. And for placing out a statue, I get to increase any of these tracks. So I will push up on orange because I want to get lots of points for orange this round. That's great. That's great. That's great so far. Let's keep going. AI's turn. That is 4 blue, but only 3 red, so they're still going. Is a 4, gets them up on purple. Like that. I need to rest. I need to rest. So, sliding this down, moving forward here, and then these guys are fed. I need 1 food for them. I need 1 food for them unless I build another thing, which is likely not happening this time with all these statues I'm looking at. So yeah, let's take the food and rolling all of my dice because I've used them all. Lots of 6s and 4s would be great. I want some statues to build. I wouldn't mind a little bit of migration happening. All right, we've got some good stuff happening. No 6s. But there is a 5 and a 4, and I do have 1 idea. So that's a start at least. AI goes again, likely resetting. Yes, that's 4, more than 4 for each. Have I been drawing from the discard pile? I don't know, but I'm going to say that that's that, and I will shuffle them. Sorry. I think I may have been drawing from the discard pile. You will have seen a subtitle about that. I apologize if that's the case. But they rest means we move 1 more time on this track like that. Back to me, and I will absolutely 5 and 4 with an idea making that a 6 and a 4. Building out 1 more, this copper one, because here it says copper, that goes there. And that means I move up another track. I'm pushing up orange again, and I'm absolutely pushing up on the favorite track because it gives me a couple of options, one of which is migration, but it's also meaning that each of my statues will score more points each round, so that's very important. AI takes their turn. This era's category twice is orange again. That's horrible. Me, I wanted a 5 and 1, so I can transport a bunch of stuff. 5 and 3 is production +1. Transport. 2's, let's see, 3 and 2 is activity, which means I could go up something again. Yeah, let's see. I don't need those 2's at all. I don't need those 2's at all. I'm going to use those 2's as a wild to get 2 ideas. Like that. Then his turn. He flips that over. This era's scoring category ×1. Wow, he's going killer on those orange. +3 for him, so he goes up 3 points on the main board. 1, 2, 3, like that. Back to me. Now, with 5 and a focus, I could transport. Yeah, let's do that. 5 plus this focus transports 6. So back at the main board, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 exactly. No, that's not a thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 5. Wait a minute. Maybe not. It's a little bit of a waste. I only get 5 resources. Yeah, no, forget it. Put that back and use the 3 instead. I'll do production. So I make 3 and I get 1. And I can only produce where I have people. So just to spread things out, I will do 1 tar, 1 copper, and 1 sand like that. Flipping over there, card. Each of the 3 scoring tiles categories here. So we get a brown, a green, and 1 more placement out in diamonds. Or prosperity back to me, and I do need to rest again, and I want that food again. Sliding forward on the board, rolling all of my dice. Come on, 6, 4. Come on, 5, 1. 6, 4 is yay. 5, there's no 1, but I can always use that guy if I need to. Plus 6, what color am I looking for? Purple, 6, 5. Okay. All right, I got lots of stuff potentially happening this time. Yes. Okay. AI's turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. They're still going. They roll. Is a 4. Purple. My turn. I need to produce first. Or transport, I guess. 5. Wait, do I? Yeah, because I need a stone, a copper, or gold, or iron ore, or jade to build in any of those places. Yeah, okay, so I have to do that first. So 5 and that focus means I'm transporting 6 things. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 of them will stay on the board. I'll get 1 of each. 1, hold on, let me keep this in mind carefully as I do this. That's a wax and a sand, and then gold and copper, and then tar, and I get to take 1 more, and it should be sand or copper, I think. Let's go sand, because he might move away. AI's turn is very likely a rest action, and it is. Lots of resting happening. I'm going to turn these sideways like that so I don't forget next time what I'm doing, but we do slide forward, and we are 1 rest away from the end of this action phase. My turn is going to be 6 and 4 to take a building action, to place out 1 more using this copper. No, let's spread out. Using this gold means I can, it's the same as the, oh no, I can do it here. From this guy here, I'm playing there, which means I get to go up on a thing 1 more time. Let's push orange just because that's what we're scoring this round. Like that. Good. Their turn. Rolling. 6 is orange again. Good Lord, they're killing me in oranges. My turn. 6 and 3. Means I can play this one. But I can't play this one until I play this one and make the malice go higher. Then, what else can I do? Migration is not a bad idea, actually. Because that pushes into green, and if I push into green and get the next purple card, hold on a minute. No, there's a problem, because as soon as I rest, I'm only getting one more action left. So, what do I want to do? Ideally, what do I need to do? Playing purple cards means 6-5. Means I have to use both of those to play this card. I think I might anyway. Yeah, I think I might have to anyway, but migration is a good idea too. But then I need to feed more people, and I will be able to do that. Yeah, I'm gonna migrate. So 3, and this 6 becomes a 1 by wrapping. And I only want to migrate 1, but I want to do it for 2 reasons. 1, because I want to get here. And then the next turn, I think I want to get here, because that gets me 3 things. And this could potentially be the clay that I need. Not clay, the cotton that I need for my goal that I took last time. So I'm going to move one of these guys, which means I will need to feed them. But that goes there for 2 points. I move up twice there. That's my turn. AI goes again. They get a 1. Which means they are placing, man, that's the worst thing that could happen. That's absolutely the worst thing that could happen. They're placing out a statue. So now we're tied. Which means all that work I just did on statues didn't happen. And I think I did the wrong person here. That should have been me. But I don't remember if they went up or not. I'll have to look at that in just a second, but let me finish this round first. That's horrible. That's horrible. Not necessarily. I could do it again if I roll well this time. I'm resting. And that's a food because it has to be because the guy just moved. When I did that, sorry, this should have flipped. And I place out 1 product or resource out there. I'm resting. That triggers the end of the round. I'm first, so the AI gets 2 more turns and I get 1 more turn. I'm going to keep that 6 because I want a 6-4 to build 1 more. And of course I didn't get one, but I do have an idea. So I can turn that 3 into a 4, potentially. AI takes a turn. 4th era's scoring category is purple, up once. My last turn, 6 and 3 plus an idea, salvages my thing because I can place this copper as my second statue in this location right here, which means I go up again on a column, and I think I'm going to have to push up orange. Let's do it. Pushing up on orange like that means I get to upgrade another orange something. Double migration might be a good thing to do in this last round. Although what happens here with production? +4 and 2. And that's only level 1. No, yeah, let's do migration. Because then I can spread out for the 3rd era scoring and final scoring territories. Just means I need to start building some more farms, but that's not necessarily a problem. That's my last turn. AI takes their last turn, rolling their die. No, they don't, because that's a rest action. That's that for them. And we do keep moving on, but all right, so I did check, and that was a mistake. I just moved the wrong one up. So moving here, site phase, we have a Mystic Oak there. I get 2 points. Feeding phase. First things first, he adds 1 more thing into the territory with the fewest of these that has the most of their tribes. Well, they only have 2 locations. They haven't spread at all anymore. So that goes there, and they are fed. So they are fed. Now me, this guy is fed. I need 1, 2, 3 food, which I do have, so I will spend all 3 of my food, but everybody's fed. So they score 1, 2, 3 points. 1, 2, 3, and I score 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Whether this goes up, I trigger that, which is great coming back to my board. The only one I have is this one right here, but I can spend 1 gold, which I absolutely will do, to go up on any track. And if I do that, that gets me an extra 4 points, so it is worth it, I think. Yes. Yeah, that should be fine for now. Okay. So then we score this era's category. AI is at 9 times 4 is 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 30 goes up to 63. And I am at 7 times 4 is 28. So 52 and 8 is 60, then 20, 70, 80 points like that. He did score more than me this time though, so they get the first player marker back again. Sliding here, I look at income. My income simply says roll the die and hope for migration. But now I've leveled up, so I get a 1 or a 2 means migration. I rolled a 5, nothing happens. We score statues. He has 3 points at 1 each. Sorry, 3 statues at 1 point each. 1, 2, 3. I have 2 points each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Times 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And doing that, I realized I forgot to trigger this event. I did have the most civilizations. I should take a income tile immediately and then activate it, I believe. Let me double check what that means. Nope, it simply says perform the key action, gain 1 income chip. Ah, I was right. The key action, gain 1 income chip says finally carry out the action of the income chip once. And I actually would have done it twice because I triggered income after I triggered the event. So let me take an income and I'm going to trigger it twice. And income can go anywhere. So since I'm not sure I'm going to be doing a lot of blue, but I will. I'm looking at 1 more blue to put in. Well, I might as well slot that in as a 4 anyway. And now I trigger that when I play it, and I trigger it again. So I'm going to get 2 focus, which is going to be super powerful and helpful in the next round like that. Then no hunting happened. We reset my columns on my board for resting. Then this orange track goes away. We will be scoring for territories next time, which for them right now is 2, and for me is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's already looking great. This resets back to the top. We draw new cards. 1, 1, 1. That's sad because I wanted that card. 1 and 1 more, like that. Okay. None of those look great, although this green one could be cool. And it says when migrating, your tribe may additionally cross through hill and grassland territories. So that means I can move, like, say, for example, from here through hill and grassland into that location like that. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool, and I do have the hand already. Brains and heart. I don't have the heart, but I could easily. Whenever you advance on orange, yeah, that would have been great to have before. Advance further. Yeah, I might have to take 2 purple cards just to get that one back again, but we'll see what happens if I can. Then sliding, no, event, please warming. Yes, double warming, that's great. I will trigger 1 income chip. It also says all civilizations with the most built farms must return 1 of them to their console. For doing so, I get +2 points and +1 gold. Okay. Now, for the AI, this is event F4. They don't build farms, so on their card, coming over here for a second, it says, it's kind of hard to see, F4 equals 4 plus 8 plus 12. So if I have a thing in 4, which I do right now, that's 1. 8 would be another, and 12 would be another. So right now, I have 1 built, and they have 1 built. But likely, I will build at least 1 more. Problem is, it comes back during the event phase. The nice thing is, though, the event phase happens after the feeding phase. So I will have fed from the farm before the farm goes away. So that meteor is not as scary as it could be, but that's that. Going down, I pick a new goal, and I still don't love these goals. But this grassland is the most likely to happen because I already have 1 in the grassland, and if I procreate twice, I could get that. Good. But hold on, they roll first. If they take a 1, I can't take that 1. Nope, they got 3. That glacier is gone. Filling those in. 2 insights. I always forget to look at those. And I didn't even explain those at the beginning of the game. These attribute chips over here, sorry, insights is not that. Insights are orange cards. So if I had 2 orange cards, that's that. But I've completely forgotten about the attribute chips. In order to get one of these, during my turn, if I have any of these things, I can take it. So for example, here, this chip requires that I have 3 vision, and then I lose 1 vision, but I get to take this chip. I don't have vision. I'm not going to have 4 composure, but I could potentially have 3 dexterity. And if I did at the start of every feeding phase, I would get to hunt once. That would be pretty cool. Then I don't have to worry about food and I can spread out a whole lot more. But it does mean I need 2 more of those, which I don't right now, but I could potentially start moving some of these over later on after I've done with the things that I need brains for. Yeah, we'll see. Forgot about those, but that's that. Moving to the extra find. Now, I wanted to get clay, cotton, so I could potentially get that goal done. But now I don't have any hill people. So from green, I'm going to take gold so I could potentially build out another building over here. So I'm taking golds. And we move into action. He goes first this time, flipping over a card. We've got rolling. 6 goes up on brown. Like that. Okay, my turn. I've got 6s and 2s, and 6 and 2 makes green. Can't do it. 2 and 2. I could get research cards with 2s. But I can do 6 and anything. Because 6 and anything could make me play a purple card. Which would get me the mouths, which would then allow me to use a 6 and a 2. I don't have any ideas, but a 6 and a 2 would let me play religion and push up on purple, which is going to be great because era 4 scores on purple. Otherwise, 2s don't do much, although 6 and 2 lets me mutate, and I could slowly start feeding stuff over here for that. You know what? Let's do it once. 6 and 2 moves 1 brain. No, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. Not yet, because I need the brains for this first. All right, so let's do that first. Then I'm going to do 6 and focus to play this purple card here. For having 3 brains, it gets me 3 communication or expressiveness. I've just learned language. And I have 4 of those, so maybe I start moving some of those instead. Okay, AI's turn. Rolling. 5. Okay, so they're going to place out a new tribe and move a new tribe. So placing out again, they go wherever there's a free thing. They both have free things, so we're rolling to find grassland or forest. 2 is here, so we're placing in grassland, so they will place there and score 1 point for having done so. And now they're migrating. And when an AI migrates, first things first, they're going to migrate from a territory where they have at least 2 tribes, and at least one of them is strong. Well, that's both places, so let's roll to see where they're migrating from. Is 6. 6 says they're migrating from the forest, and then they're going to migrate to the land territory with fewest of their tribes. Well, from here, that's all of them. And they're always going to use the one from the wilderness first, then fire encampment, then any encampment. So they are going to move this guy first. But we're looking at desert, hills, grassland, or swamp. So we're going to roll to see, or mountains. So rolling again, I got a 1, which is forest. The next is swamp. So they're going to move this guy from here to here. 1, 2. And they will develop this territory, but they don't ever get any resources. So they're just simply going to flip that over like that. My turn now, I will use 6-2. And I will migrate one of these mouths over because I only need 3 of them for this card, and I only need 2 of them for this card. So having that there is great because now I can get this card too. Wow, okay, we're doing good, we're doing good. Sorry, I should replace that income chip, which is roll to procreate. Yes. AI's turn. That is a rest. Moving forward 1. I am also resting, so while I'm here, I'll move that forward 1 more. Sliding this down, I definitely need food. I wish I had some ideas, but I need the food with all my guys all over the place. Rolling all of my dice. Do I need anything that's 2? I wouldn't mind taking 2 cards to get that purple card I wanted. No, not really. Maybe, and maybe. Yeah, let's keep that 2 there in case. All right, you got another 2. Wow, this is horrible. 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay. I don't like it. No, I don't. No, I really don't. But we'll get some stuff done in a minute. Okay. AI's turn. Flipping. Rolling. 2 gets him another person. Again, placing where there is at least one free encampment. Otherwise, everything is okay. So that means any of their 3 places. Rolling a 4 means grassland. So they're going to place out here with these guys, which is sad for me because that means they're fed now. My turn. I'm going to use a 3 and a focus to get a 6, which means 6 and 3 lets me play an orange card. I do have 3 mouths, and I have brain. I have to get rid of 1 intelligence to get religion. Gets me 3 up on the culture track. 1, 2, 3, which lets me flip a purple as well. And I think, there's so many things that I potentially want to do. But I think I might flip this one because that means if I get dice, and it's kind of late to do it, but now I get a pink and a white die for doing that. Yes, I think so. Wait a minute, do I want to procreate? That lets me add 2 people, potentially with a roll. Nah, I like that, I think. Yes. Okay, AI's turn. Next era's category is purple, up twice. 1, 2, like that. My turn. Yuck. Well, I can go up 1 more time, and that would get me another focus or another statue slide. Or not statue, but the favorite track. Maybe? I don't need the money right now. Yeah, let's do it. 3, 2. Triggers that. I spend a money to move up purple, because that's going to score points next round, but also it lets me move up on the favorite track again. Statues don't change, but now I'm 1 to 3 for bonuses. His turn is roll. 5 gets him 1 evolution and hunting. So evolution again just means placing on that track. He's going to hunt on a spot where we both are. Well, there aren't any. In that case, they will hunt on forest, swamp, or grassland. Forest is the best of those 3. They will hunt there, like that. My turn. I don't like it at all. I'm resting again, and I'm taking the food. We slide the rest track. I roll these. I don't need the 3, and I don't think I need double 2s. But that could mean drawing 2 purple cards, which could be nice for me. I don't know. No, let's take one of those back. And I roll 1, 1. That was a 5, 3, 1. Like that. Okay. Yuck. Okay, AI's turn. This round is really crushing me. They're still going. There's only 3 blue. 5 up on brown. My turn. Now, I could procreate, but to build I need a 6-4. Because I did kind of want to put out a farm. Because I'd like to spread out. I can migrate, but I don't really want to at the moment. Although maybe I do. Then let me procreate first. 5, 2. We're going to put out 1 more guy. And I'm going to place them here to score 2 points. 1, 2. AI goes next. We have to shuffle their deck. And they are resting. Which is sad, because as soon as I rest, that means I get only 1 more turn. 3 and 1. There's a migration. I definitely want that to happen. Yeah, so I get to migrate twice for free. I only have 2 food. I will have 3 food. So I'm going to end up weakening some people, I think. But I migrate twice for free. So one of them is going to be here, I think. Here or there? Here. 1. Let me double check migration. And I can't move back and forth because I can only trigger things when people get to the thing that they get to. So I get 2 points for having gone there. And forgive me if I already did that. We'll check that at the end of the game as I'm editing. But that gets placed there, and I do get a wood, and I want him to stay there anyway because that means I can get the oil I need for my painting next round if I need it. That's 1. I get a second migration. He moves there for 2 points. 1, 2. Flipping this one over, and yeah, that's the cotton I need for my other goal. And now I get to roll my pink die. If it's 1 to 3, I can migrate again if I choose to. 5, it's not, that's it. His turn. This era's scoring category once is territories, which means, looking at this card, territories means migrate. So again, they're moving from a place where they have 2, which right now is grasslands only, and they'll move to anywhere that has their fewest tribes. So that could be any of the things touching that. Means hills, grassland, swamp, or desert. So rolling to see where they go is a 5, is hills. So he's going to abandon the fire spot and come to where I am down here like that. No biggie. Now I got double 1s. And I'm going to use them right away to take 2 ideas because he's not resting yet. I will rest, then we'll get 1 more round. So we'll see what happens. Please, not too much stuff happening. 2 puts out a new statue for him, which really isn't that big a deal. It's just a point. Twice, because it will be 2 more rounds. And my turn. Now I am resting. Now I take food because I need the food. We trigger end of round, so I will get 1 more turn after this, rolling all of my dice. We've got 5, 5, 6, 6, 4, and 2. And we've got a little bit of flexibility too because we have 2 ideas. They take another turn. Ooh, they're real close to resting next time. Rolling that is a 1 up on blue. Plus they're eliminating 1 blue card from the market. Like that. Wow, which is actually a really cool thing for me. I mean, that only goes up on orange, but it is an additional blue card, except I don't have, no, I don't like that. Never mind, never mind, never mind. All right, then what can I do? With the 6s, I could place out this green card, which would allow me to also get a new income, which would be pretty nice to have. Or more people. Also nice to have. Oh wait, I wanted to build a farm. 6 and 4 is exactly what I want to do. I want to build another farm, but where am I building this farm? Where am I likely to have more people? It doesn't really matter. It's going to go away right away anyway, so let's just stick that there. Like that, which means I do get 1 more idea. Like that, and that's good because it is going to save me 1 food. That's the end of that. Going back to the board, we go into sight phase. I'm still here with that Mystic Oak. Gets me 2 points. 1, 2. Feeding phase. They begin by placing out 1 of their things in the territory with the fewest of those and the most of their tribes. Well, the only ones here are here or here. Rolling to see which that happens is number 2, says swamp. So they are going to place 1 here. Which means these 2 are fed from that, this one is fed from that, this one is fed from that. He is not fed and gets weakened. So he scores 1, 2, 3, 4, just 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got, he's fed, I need 1, 2, 3 food. Beautiful. I did need all of my food, but everybody's filled up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets me 1 of those 100 chips that I will place out by my area. That's done there. Next, moving weather. This goes up 1, 2. We are warm. We trigger 1 income. Can either be migration, which right now doesn't help because everybody's by themselves somewhere else, or yeah, absolutely, I'll take a focus. Like that. The event says with the most built houses, Based on their board, they've only got one house or one barn built. I've got two. So one of them must be returned, which that one will do. But that also means I score 2 points and I get 1 gold. So that goes 1, 2, and I get 1 more gold, which is great to see. We score, this is territories. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4 territories. So that's 4 times 3 for them is 12, 1, 2 to 75, and 10 is 85. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Times 3 is 15 up to 8. And 10 is 18, like that. And I had the most, so I get the first player marker back again. That goes away. We move here, I trigger all my income again. So I get 1 more focus and potentially migrate. Rolling for a migration is 1. I do get to migrate. And I get a focus. So what do I want to do about migration? Is there any reason I want them here? Well, these are nice to potentially have. I need to be there for next time. So actually, he's not going to move anywhere. This is meaningless for them to still be here. So I might as well migrate them. The question is where? Down or up? Let's go up here, scoring 2 points, because I might potentially build something on that building ground. Scoring statues. He gets 1 per statue. He's got 4 is 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've still got 4. I get 2 points each is 8. Up to 28 like that. We remove any hunting tokens, which is that one. I reset all of my reset tracks, and we enter the 4th and final era of the game. Starting with new cards, flipping over cards over here. Yeah, that doesn't help me at all. Yeah, none of these are great for me. Eyeballs are not what I have. Oh, hand and heart could be good. Whenever somebody migrates, another one of my tribes from the same territory may migrate with it to the new territory. Huh, that's interesting. That's interesting, because I could procreate, move 2 people, and then build a farm wherever I move. That's not bad to have. And it's easy to play. All right, then we get a new event. Let's hope for cold, because I don't want to burn up. It is hot. So we are going to lose 1 food or 1 tribe. So I need to make sure I have extra food. Each civilization that has at least 2 of those guys, composure, adds 2 things to one of my storage spaces where I already have at least 1, or sell up to 2 for 3 points each. I don't think I'm going to get 2 of those by the end of the game. So I think that's pretty much useless for me right now. And burning is bad, but it is what it is. 1 more gold chip. Now, I don't have space for any more gold chips. So I could take 1, which means it then gets overlaid on top of one of these, and I have to sort of do 2 of them before I get the bonus for having gotten rid of a gold chip. And right now, none of these looks great except maybe grasslands, but I don't think I care enough. Because already I got to score some of these, and I'm not going to score that many, so I'm not taking anything. AI does roll and gets rid of that one. It means we do refill, because this is something I could potentially get later. A brimstone, not helpful. Moving next, we've got extra find. Each civilization chooses 1 type of territory in which it has at least 1 tribe, and I get a thing. I want the oil so I can make this brown card, I think, or do I want the cotton so that I can do that? But cotton, all I have to do is transport. I've already produced 1, so let's get the oil. So I can put that brown card there. Because I can play that green card, I've got both of those things there. Yeah, We move to action phase, and I am starting off this round, and right away, 6 for brown is 6 and 1, for green is 6 and 2. Either way doesn't really change too much, except this will be nice to have. Let's do that. 6 and 2, which means I do need to spend an idea to make it a 1. And I slot that brown card in there, getting bumped up on brown and green and blue, like that. This slides in there, like that. And now I've completed this whole row, so I get to take 1 more income chip, which is placing, moving, or scoring goals. I'm going to say scoring goals, and I'm going to say that I'm not playing any more anything, really. Yeah, let's cap off this brown one. like that. Oh, wait a minute. No, I can slot that right there and score 4 points on that. That's better. That's me. AI takes a turn and instantly, no it doesn't. That's only 3 red, we're still good. They roll nothing. This era's scoring category twice is purple. 1, 2, which gets them 3 points. 1, 2, 3. My turn. All I have is 5s, which means I could get another mouth, which I don't need. I could do 5 and something. Do I have 6 things out on the board? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've only got 5, but I think it's worth it. Yeah, I'm going to spend a 5 and a focus to produce a wood and a copper and a tar and this green thing, which is herbs, and this guy, which is my cotton that I need for that goal. Like that is my turn. Yeah, it takes a turn and boom, that's a rest. Like that. This moves over and I'm also resting while I'm here, so I'll slide that a second time. Now, I need food, but I might end up getting this thing where I can hunt at the start of every feeding phase. And hunting at the start of every feeding phase, especially if I'm in a forest where I can hunt and get lots of food, I got a 50-50 chance of getting 3 food. That's great. But, I already have 2 ideas. Yeah, forget it. I'm just going to take a food. And I'll roll. I'll keep that 5. Because I might use it to produce something or make more people. We got 1, 2, 6, 3, and 2 like that. Yeah, his turn. Rolling. 3. Gets them another statue and hunting. Are they in any locations with me? They are right here, but hold on a minute. Let me double check hunting. Do they need to have a strong tribe? No, it just says at least 1 tribe. So I'm going to put that there. Like that. My turn. Hold on, I forgot to place out the statue. They're filling up that building ground, pretty full up. Now it's my turn. Green, 6-2, let's do it. 6-2, automatically this green can go out because I have 2 hands and I have 2 mouths and I must scream. There. Yay. AI. Going. Rolling 6. Plus a person, move a person. So plus a person again goes into wherever there's a free space, which could be pretty much any of them. So let's see what happens. I roll and I get a 1, which is forest. They do have a forest. They place there, scoring 1 point. Now they're moving from where they have at least 2, means this forest or this grassland. Let's see where they're moving from is 1. They're moving from the forest. And they're moving into 6 is the desert. So from this forest into the desert is 2 points. 1, 2. Good. My turn. And I'm going to be a little bit crazy now, maybe. Do I need this for anything? No. 3 and 1. No. 3 and 1 plus an idea to make it a 4 and 1 is exploration. So in this hill section, I get 1, 2, 3. Starting here. Ooh, another Mystic Oak, but hills are only worth 1 point, but that's still awesome. If I push this guy into here, that's another 2 points. Okay, so that's 1 point from having found that. Flip this. Oops, I knocked him over. He's still strong. A Hidden Grotto. Hidden Grotto says that when I activate the production module, I get to produce and transport 1 additional thing from here. But that's 2 points. 1, 2. And then finally, this guy up here is a cave that does connect over here if I want it to, but it also scores me a big 3 points. Yay. All right, AI, go. That's 4 and 4. They're done again, which means that rest goes up once more. I've got a 5 and a 2, but I could have a 5 and an anything and a 2 and an anything. 5 and 2 is procreation, though, which isn't bad. To place out another person, it'll score another 2 points at the end of the game. And I could potentially move them. Uh-huh. 501 is transport. I don't have anything to transport. I could produce. I could research to take that orange card. No, not the orange card, the green card. That would score me an additional 4 points and allow me to migrate multiple peoples. I'm going to do it. So I'm going to use a 2 and a focus to take that other green, the pouch card. Because I do already have, but I need a heart. And if I'm moving things, I'd rather have a yellow guy. But yellow can't slot in anywhere that's meaningful anymore. No, no, no. Undo, 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 undo. Undo, undo, undo for sure. No, thank you. Where'd that come from? Focus. Yeah, in that case, I might as well just spend it and put a person out. It's worth a couple of points, and they can start moving places if I want them to. The question is, where? I'd love to place them on a spot where there's a scoring spot, but I can't from procreation. So we're just going to stick them here, I guess, because it's fed already. AI goes. Rolling 4. Goes up on orange, which does score them 3 points immediately. 1, 2, 3. My turn, I have to rest. This is sliding down. I'm going to take a gamble on food and use this as an idea. We slide that down. Rolling all my dice. I kind of regret that I never got any extra dice, but it is what it is. 6s, 4s, and 5s. Not great. Not great, but we're not dead. All right, AI's turn. Each of the 3 scoring categories here means this one goes up, this one goes up, and 1 more gem for them. And me. 6 and 4 could build. 6 and 5 could get me dice, but I don't really need them right now. How was I doing over here? Because I can get this yellow guy. But it can't go anywhere except here, and that's a problem. Because I'm not scoring at 7. There's no way I'm getting to that 7. So never mind on that. These don't mean anything to me. But it does let me feed, and I wanted that. That's a problem, because that's a 6 and 2, and then I have to waste a focus or something else. But anyway, 4 and 3, using one of my ideas, lets me score a goal. And I'm going to keep this salt for now, because it will score me a bunch of diamonds if I have it. Wait a minute, where did this oil go? I needed the oil to play that card. That should be gone. All right, then I am going to use cotton to score that goal, which means that goes there, and I get to flip over anything I want to. If I upgrade this mutation, what does that do? Mutate twice. 5, 4 is sale and purchase. I get a bunch of money for selling a bunch of stuff. 6 gold is big. Maybe? What happens if I flip this? Yeah, 2 sales and 2 purchases. Maybe. Yeah, let's flip that. Let's flip that. We're doing weird stuff today. All right, this gets shuffled. Getting real close to the end. We're 1 rest away from triggering end game. Whoops, there should be 1 more income chip I forgot to put out, which is just moving stuff. They take a turn, which is rolling. They roll 5, place a person, move a person. Placing people, they've got spaces all over the place. Let's go. 3 means mountains, they don't have any. Grasslands, yes, they go there and score a point. Like that. Then moving a person, the only place they can move from is the grasslands, because everywhere else is 1 person. Rolling is a 5, which means hills. So they are going to move from there into the hills like that. My turn. 6 and 5, I can build something. I don't want to. I can sell something. Yeah, I'm going to do a sale and purchase using 2 5s and an idea. Because I can sell 2 things and purchase 2 things. I'm going to sell 1 tar for 3 money, because that's a 3 money bag. So that's 1, 2, 3, because that means now I get 2 prosperity from that. And then I'm likely going to purchase that to get these 2 gems. But I think that's it. I'm going to sell this for 2. But I got to spend 4 to purchase? Not if it's discovered. Pete is discovered. So this is just 2. So I'm going to sell this for 2, and then I'm immediately going to spend that 2 to put that there, because that gets me 2 instead of 1. Yeah, that's a turn. And that's their rest. Which means I don't even get another turn. Well, I do. I can do a 6 and anything. A 6 and anything means play a bunch of cards that don't do anything. Get insight that doesn't do anything. I could potentially score another goal, but that loses me 3 prosperity to do so. So that's not worth it, because that's 6 points versus what would be 4 points. No. So I'm going to have to do a mutation, I guess. Yeah, do it. 6 and focus. Moves. What do I need? 3 hands. So this goes there. I now have 3 hands. I spend 1 of those to take this agile civilization, because it's going to let me hunt in a minute. That's not going to score, because I can't put that anywhere else except in a place where income is. And I didn't unlock this row, but at least it lets me hopefully have enough food to feed everybody. Good. We go into sight phase. I forgot to migrate this guy here so I could score to 2 points, but that's okay. He scores 2. He scores 1. That's 3 points for me. 1, 2, 3. Feeding. They're going to place out a thing. Fewest of them and most tribes. So they're done there. They're done there. Fewest is not that. So here, well, this has more tribes. That goes there. Like that. Yeah, so this feeds them. These are both fed by those. This is fed by those. This is fed by those. He's not fed, he's weakened. So he scores 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, before I feed, I'm hunting, and I'm hunting in the forest because that's my strongest hunting spot. So rolling for hunting, I rolled a 5. Checking the chart, that is 3 food, yay. Because they're fed, he needs a food, he needs a food, he needs a food, he needs a food. It's 4 food. That's a problem. Yeah, but that's fine. 4 food is gone. Yeah, that was a mistake. No, it's not, because I could have given up the barn and fed instead, but I mean, I could have given up the hunting that I just got and gotten a barn instead, but that would have meant that nobody got fed. All right, so everybody gets fed. So I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. And then we move on to the event phase. It gets hotter again. Whoops, that should be there. It gets hotter again. I lose a food or a person. Well, I don't have any food left. So bye-bye. Somebody dies. Heat stroke. Each civilization that has at least 2 composure. I don't have any composure, so that's not going to do anything for me. We score purple track, which for me is 4, and for him is 8 times 2. So he gets 16 points. 4 and 6 is 10, and 10 is 20. And I've got 4 times 2 is 8. And 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 51, like that. And he has crossed 100, sorry, so I should give him 100 token. Passing the start player marker means nothing because this is the last round of the game. That doesn't matter, that goes away. This goes here. C and D doesn't matter because that's the end of the game. We're going to score A and B here. So first is income, which to start with, I get 1 focus that doesn't help me at all anymore. Then my other 2, I can move around. Yeah, it's going to be worth it. All right, so for the gold chip here, I'm not going to try and even activate that because this salt will get rid of this salt, which gets rid of 3 gems, which gets rid of 6 points to score 4 points. That ain't worth it. So instead, I'm going to take the 1 point for that. But I'm going to roll to see if I can migrate. I need a 1, 2, or 3. I got a 3. Sweet. All right, so coming over here, I take the 1 point for that goal that I didn't score. And then I'm moving one of these into this spot for 2 more points. 1, 2. Because now I've got an additional territory that I score at the end of the game, which is great to see. We score from statues. He's still at level 1 times 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm at 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4 is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. Now, this is done. Hunting and stuff doesn't matter, but this is coming back over to the other board. So then that piece gets transferred over to here into our final scoring track, and we're simply going to slide across there like that. So first things first, 2 points per track here. I score 2. He scores 6 times 2 is 12. So 1, 2 for me, and then 1, 2 plus 10 is 37 for him. Next is green track. I score again 2. He scores 4 times 2 is 8. So for me, 1, 2, and for him, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. Next is 1 each. I've got 7. He's got 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 10 for him goes to 55. Blue is 1 each. I've got 1. He's got 2. 1 for me, 2 for him. Sorry, I haven't been sliding this. Purple, 1 is 4 for me, 8 for him. 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 8, and 57 is 65. Now we go to evolution. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 3. So that is 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Gems. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 10 points. I've got, this is filled as 1. These are filled 2, 3. These are filled 4, 5. These are filled 6, 7. And then for each of these columns, 1 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 times 2 is 18 for me, and 10 for him. So 10 for him goes to 78. And 18 for me is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. I'm up to 202, so I'll take another one of those 100 tokens. Sliding next is 2 points per person left. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is 5 times 2 is 10 for me, to 12. And that picture just means any tribe, so his weak tribes count. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For him, times 2 is 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10 goes to 92 like that. Next then is territories, 2 each. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 territories. It's 10 points for me. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as well. It's 10 points for him. 202 like that. Then I'm looking at my console, and I don't have, this says A is based on the location of all the things, and B is for any of these cards that have endgame scoring bonuses. None of these cards there has endgame scoring bonuses. So I am simply looking at the locations of these things. Don't score up here because I didn't unlock that. So this one and this one is 4. So 4 and 4 is 8. These 3 are 3. So 3, 6, 9, and 8 is 17. And these are all 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 17 should be 25. But let me do that again. 2, 4, 6, 8 plus 3, 6, 9 is 17. And 8 is 25 points. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 27, 37, 47. And now I wish I had shown you the next level of difficulty because this is amazing. I cross my fingers that I didn't make a mistake somewhere, and I'm sure I'm gonna find something while I'm editing the video, but you will have seen that already if that is the case. In any case, based on what I see here, I just beat the AI 247 to 202, which is amazing for me. I don't think I've ever done that well in this game. Let me check my previous scores. My highest score ever is 223, so 247 is definitely better than I've ever done, and actually the highest score the beginner AI has ever had against me is 227, so I've cleared that as well. It's worth pointing out that just before recording this last week, I did play one game as a refresher, and I lost 196 to 197, so this time the scores are certainly higher than they were before, but yeah. I did very well, and I'm extremely happy to have gotten that on camera for all of you. But that's basically all there is to the game. While I'm here, I do like to take a look at the components, and I will say at first glance, this game is a lot. There's tons of iconography, there's tons of little icons everywhere, there's tons of information all over every board, all over everything, everywhere. There's so many different actions you can take, and it is very cluttered, but I will say that after a couple of plays of this game, everything really does click. All of the iconography is actually very easy to understand once you've already played the game a few times, despite it being so in your face with so much information all the time. This track here on this main board that walks you through every phase and everything that you need to do in the game is wonderful. It really, really helps explain everything. So there's very little sort of rules overhead that you have to think about. Same thing with the AI. Most of the information you need for the AI is written out on all of these cards, which is really great to see. Just everything is very well explained. And again, there's lots of little icons, many different resources, many different actions, but this is something that you get used to as you play. And visually, when I first opened this, I thought, wow, this looks kind of funky. But having played it now, it really starting to look nicer and nicer. The colors are a little bit poppy. I mean, it stands out as a very colorful, rainbowy kind of game, which makes me a little bit happy. And the whole thing is supposed to be sort of this like computer simulation for gods, I think, where you're sort of trying to learn how to be a god and run a civilization. So everything kind of looks computer panel-y, makes sense to the theming of the game. I also want to point out this right here is that this is a overview booklet, it says. This is a player aid, but this is a multi-page player aid that explains all of the different sort of icons you're going to see, all of the different markers you can be placing out, lots more different action kind of icons, all of the different sites that you might see on the board, all of the action modules in alphabetical order and each level for each one and what they do, how your reset, I keep calling it rest, but how your reset action works. Everything is incredibly well explained in here, so sort of knowing the rules, playing once or twice, having this flow chart here, and having this book means that the game is going to be quite easy to parse as you're playing through. Lots of iconography, but everything, again, is explained very well in here. And again, after a couple of plays, everything really does start to click and make a whole lot of sense. So while it is absolutely overwhelming at first glance, I think that the graphic design, as far as how it works mechanically in the game, is actually very well put together here. I should show you a couple of things. First, the other two player colors are yellow and blue. I'm showing you them this way because I want you to see that this game has a really great sort of organization system. Each player has all of their stuff fits into a box, and I even keep their tokens for their board here as well as the starting dice in there, so you can sort of just give one of these boxes to a player and they're good to go. Otherwise, there are two other boxes. There's this one here that I keep the solo stuff in, plus all of the little tokens and things, and the extra dice go into this box. And then there's this bigger box that's empty right now because I took everything out of it, but this is where all the cards go, and they have dividers so the cards can be separated into different sets. That also has its own lid on it as well. And the reason I want to show you that is because this box is incredibly well designed, because you can see that 2 layers of player stuff goes into that. This card box goes into that corner. The sort of token box that I showed you slides in there. And this space here, this is really, really cool. You gotta be real careful when you're opening. This is the player board. These unfold, and the reason I say you have to be careful is because if you open this way, all of these tokens start in the player board, and if you reset them at the end of the last game, all you need to do is open this and it's already set up to play. You have to be careful though, because, well, if you bump it like I just did, it's a problem. But also, you need to remember to open from this side. Because if I turn it over and I open it this way, all of the tiles will be falling out. But very nicely they put on here, right here, that says caution to make sure you know not to do that to avoid that happening. But in any case, everything's already set up. These all stack up in here perfectly. And then everything else, all of the tiles and all of these borders and so on fit in all of the empty spaces. This is actually a really cool design for an insert, how everything is physically printed on the box bottom to show you where everything goes. All of these are simple, just like slightly heavy paper kind of cardstock boxes, but they work really well and everything stores really well. And surprisingly, with all of the stuff that there is to set up, the setup and takedown is not that bad because of this organization system. So big thumbs up for me on that. That's basically all I have to say about the components. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that playthrough. Boy, did I. I was very, very excited to be able to show off a win on camera because that is something that hasn't really happened before. Fingers crossed that everything went correctly because as I'm doing this, this is a giant edit for this video and I haven't gotten to the editing for it yet. So I don't know if there are any mistakes. As always, please pay attention to the subtitles. You would have seen those already, but definitely check down below for a pinned comment in case I did make any other mistakes along the way. So, Civolution, what do I think? Let me say this first. I am a huge fan of Castles of Burgundy. It's the only Stefan Feld game that I'd ever played, but I've been a big fan of that game for a while. It's top 10, at least, maybe top 5, probably top 5 game for me. Really cool dice action selection kind of game. So when I saw that Stefan Feld was doing a sort of heavier, more crunchy, Euro-y style game that sort of still relied on rolling dice and using the values of those dice in unique ways to take actions with those dice. Being such a fan of Burgundy as I was really excited to get this to the table, and wow, am I glad that I did. I am really, really loving this game. I think Castles of Burgundy is probably still going to be just a tad higher for me than this one just because of the ease of getting that game played. But this game is shooting up to the tops of my favorite games of all time. And it also means that I've started picking up other Stefan Feld games like here, Bonfire, behind me, because I do want to play more of his designs now that I have played and enjoyed these two as much as I have. Now, saying all of this, I'm a little bit scared about what the rest of this video is going to look like because this is a giant game with a whole lot of stuff going on. I'm not just going to sit here and rattle off all of the different stuff in the game because you can go back and watch my playthrough for that. Usually I do a sort of overview of how the game works in my final thoughts sections, but that's going to take forever and probably you don't want to sit through all of that. So I kind of want to just briefly talk about what this game is and then talk about what it is that I enjoy this game, but I apologize in advance if this does just turn into a rambling stream of consciousness thing, but my videos are sort of always more about the playthrough than it is about my wonderful speech at the end. Nothing scripted, all from up here. So here we go. Let's see how it goes. But as I mentioned, Civolution is a game all about dice placement, not dice placement, but dice usage for sort of action selection, activation kind of thing. It is a civilization game where you officially are playing as this sort of student on a computer running a simulation of you being a god, developing this world, placing out tribes in your world, spreading to explore the world, producing different resources, transporting those resources back, selling those resources at market, and then hopefully like improving your civilization in a variety of different ways to score points on a variety of different scoring tracks. And ultimately that's what it is. You're trying to score points, and every time you play this game, you're going to be scoring points on different things. There are 5 different colored tracks, am I right? Green, orange, purple, blue, brown. I believe there are 5 different colored tracks that also tie into 5 different colored cards that are all related to 5 different sort of characteristics of your civilization, and I don't remember any of them except maybe brown is technology, I believe. Purple might be something knowledge related. Anyway, they're all based on different types of things in your civilization, and I apologize for not knowing those things. But again, this is a very mechanical style game and not necessarily a very thematic one. In any case, what you're doing is you're trying to score on these 5 tracks, moving up these tracks, because they will all ultimately score something. But then you're also trying to put tribespeople out on the board. You're trying to spread out as much as possible to sort of exist in as many terrains as possible. You're trying to sort of progress your civilization, earning these little diamonds by having lots of resources or having lots of money and what have you. And you're also trying to sort of upgrade yourself, becoming smarter, becoming more dexterous, having better vision and so on, actually like physically improving the skills of your peoples or your tribes. And those are all of the different things you're going to score on. But every time you play the game, you're going to have some tokens that give different sort of point score multipliers for each of these different categories, 4 of which you're going to score at the end of each of the 4 rounds that you're playing in this game, or 4 eras that you're playing in this game, and then 3 more that will be additional point multipliers for the end of game scoring, where you will score all of these categories at some base level of scoring and then boosted of those other 3 just a little bit. So they give you sort of focus on what are the things I need to focus on in this particular game in order to score as many points as possible. And again, the way you're doing this is with dice. You start with 6 dice and you're rolling those dice, and then whatever values they have, there's this sort of cool pyramidal structure of actions. And I'm doing it backwards, it should be this way. But the point is, there is sort of 1, 1, and then there's 2, 1, and then there's 3, 1, 2, and then there's 4, 1, 2, 3, and there's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got this sort of pyramidal or triangular set of actions. And each action space, as I just kind of quickly ran through, requires 2 dice, and the values of those 2 dice will dictate which of those spaces you get to play on. So if I have a 6 and a 4, I will play the action that is 6, 4, and each of the action spaces tends to have 2 different possible actions you can take there, although some of them are only singular actions. And these are going to be things like taking cards, playing cards, placing tribespeople out on the board, moving tribespeople out on the board, producing resources on the board, transporting those resources back to your sort of personal supply, exploring the board, identifying new sort of landscape features that exist out there, building buildings out onto those landscape features, placing out farms because you're going to need food for the people that you're placing out there, potentially hunting to get food for the people that you're placing out there. And then at the end of every round, you will have to feed the people, and then based on the number of people you have out there, you are scoring points. And if those people don't have food, they get weakened, and if they're weakened and they don't have food, they die and they get removed from the board. You're doing all of these different things to score points each round, but then every round you also have an event and you have weather, and the weather is going to give you bonuses or negative things, giving you extra resources, giving you extra activation of specific extra actions you've added into your board. The events are going to give you things like if you have this much of this stuff, then you get this thing, or if you have more of this than your opponents, then you get this thing, and so on. So you're competing to develop your civilization. And again, there's so much going on in here that I can't really talk about everything there is, but there's also goals that you're aiming. Have a certain number of people in a certain type of terrain, having people in more than one of that kind of terrain, spending a specific kind of resource. You're trying to develop your tribes by, again, growing skills that will allow you to place out cards and place out other tiles that give you additional abilities. But that's the other cool thing about this scoring is, I told you about that pyramid of scoring. It's actually a double-sided pyramid because the other side is where all of your resources are scored. But in between that, it's like a upside-down pyramid of empty space. And this is where you're slotting in cards and the sort of tiles that you're placing into your board to get new actions and get new abilities and get one-use boosts on the tracks and so on. Because each row of this upside down pyramid can hold some number of cards and tiles. But each column in this pyramid, because assume it's like a stair step kind of up upside inverted pyramid, each column can only hold a card of a certain color or a tile of a certain type, and once you've slotted into there, you can only place more of that same thing in that column. And each successive row up in that column will score more points, plus 1 point additional, going up at the end of the game. Although the top 2 rows score nothing until you can activate them by building all of a certain type of building or by other things that you can do in the game. And you're trying to slot all of these things in to try and maximize that scoring, because when you play those cards have scoring for each level. Now, some of it will be free, but the base levels will all cost resources or a certain amount of a certain type of skill, like a certain amount of intelligence, there's a certain amount of dexterity, or having had built a certain number of buildings already, or things like this that you have to spend. And the higher the row you place that card into, the more of these things you have to spend. So the harder it gets to successively place more and more of the same card type or tile type in that inverted pyramid, which adds for an extra sort of level of strategy that you need to think about, because now you're not just picking cards that do things that help you get to the end game goals or the end of round scoring goals you're trying to achieve. You're also now trying to make synergies that give yourself special powers based on those cards, and you're also trying to have multiples of the same cards so you can successively score more points for having more of that one type of card, but also realizing that every time you do that, the cost for that card will potentially be getting more and more and more expensive, so you have to make sure you're generating enough resources or upgrading your sort of evolving your tribe enough so that it keeps up with the times and you can keep growing your civilization. And it really, really feels good when you're comboing all of these things together, and this does that, and now I can do this, and now I can plug this in, and now I move up on that track, which levels up, because each of those actions on the board can also level up to level 2 and level 3, making them more powerful. So you kind of want to focus on what are the sort of strengths of your tribe and work on upgrading those so that every time you take that action is even stronger and you're getting even more stuff done. There's a whole lot going on in this game, and I can't say anything bad about it except that maybe it's a little bit too much when you first start playing it. But it really does feel connected, and it really does make sense after you've played 2 or 3 times and understand what all of the actions do and really understand how to focus on certain actions and which actions fit best with which goals, and then you can focus on those goals and plan strategies around the actions to get to the goal. But the cool thing is that every time you play, the cards that are coming out are different, the goals that are coming out are different, the sort of scoring conditions that are coming out are different. So every time I play this game, it doesn't ever feel the same as it did before. Yes, I'm taking a lot of the same actions. Yes, my own personal strategies might be similar from game to game, but the things I'm hoping to achieve and the way that I tie everything together and the way that the different sort of upgrades and abilities from my cards tie into the things that I'm trying to do and sort of push me to think in different ways, tactically changing on the fly as I'm playing new cards. It all just feels really good, and I can't stop singing the praises of this game. And I'm sorry again if I'm rambling, but this is great, and I love this game, and I don't know where else to keep. I could just keep going on saying random things about this game, and I'm not sure you're going to listen for too much longer, so I'm going to cut it there and say that I hope that that was helpful for you. Definitely check out the playthrough if you didn't, because this is the kind of video where a playthrough is going to show off a whole lot more than me rambling about the game. But I love this game. If you like heavy, thinky, crunchy Euros with lots of paths to points, if you enjoy action selection using numbers or values generated through a random die roll with the ability to manipulate those dice, I didn't even talk about that, the ability to manipulate those dice to get things that you want them to do, to be able to add more dice into your pool to give you more potential options that come out of that random roll, and so on. Definitely this is one you're going to want to check out. If you're afraid of bigger, heavier, stronger, chunkier games, this might not be for you, but I would push you to try it anyway if you're a fan of Euro games in general. I am loving this game. I hope that you all will too. And as always, I do hope that this video was helpful for you. Sorry for the awkward cut. Back again, one thing I forgot to talk about in my rambles, continuing to ramble, I just want to point out the reset part of the action phase. So again, in this game, you're using combinations of dice to take actions, but as you run out of dice, you then have less dice to take those actions with, and finally, when you don't have any dice left, you have to then reset. And by taking a reset action, you're going to slide down a piece on your board, which also advances the track that sort of main tracker on the board that is dictating the sort of time limit or the length of that given round, because after a set number of resets, you then trigger the end of that round. So you have some control over the tempo of the game and the length of how many actions you get to take based on how often you get or how often you need to take this reset action. But also when you're resetting, the piece that you're using to sort of mark that you've triggered the reset action is going to then go back into either one piece of food or being to one of those ideas that you can use to manipulate the value of the die in a later round. So it's giving you something for resting, but it's also advancing the timer of the game, which means throughout the game, as you have that ability to take the action to get more dice into your supply, you can then potentially take more and more and more actions in future rounds before needing to trigger a reset, which means you can get more stuff done if you are building out those dice. But sometimes it's also worth triggering a reset to end the round before your opponents can get something done. And I just wanted to come back, excuse the clothing change, this is a new day, but I didn't want to forget this piece in here because it is a very important piece of the game and the sort of tempo and timing of how everything works in the game. And I think it's a really cool idea that you have some control over timing, but also that the sort of length of the rounds can grow as you're building out more dice. And you're also thinking about when to reset and when to keep going based on if you don't like the dice values you have left for you, you can reset early so long as you have no more than 3 dice remaining. But you're chosen to sort of reset early to then re-roll those dice and give yourself new values so you can take better actions. Or if you know that resetting is going to end the round early, you might try and take lesser actions just so you can get more stuff done before triggering the end of that round. And that variable timer that you have some control over really ties into the sort of planning and timing of when you take your actions and which actions you take and how you set yourself up with more dice and more ideas and more focus tokens that allow you to get more of the things you want to get done before the end of the game. So I'm sorry that I cut back in with this weird edit, but I wanted to make sure that was in there. Otherwise, excuse the ramble. This was more of a ramble than most reviews I've done. But as always, I do hope this video was helpful for you. Again, definitely go back and check out the playthrough if you're still wanting to know more about this game and you didn't already watch the playthrough. Thank you again for watching. I do ask that if you did enjoy this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks.